Papa Joe Feliz. Femme dynamique de Taoubli. Dieu de Wakriba. Présidente Gay Marie. Tante Philippe. Docteur Bayedo. C'est à Marcel. Mi a un blénion. Ajapuya son kanya dia kanao emenao son emenao ta fly ni aku ado asa kwa gudi no amu abotan die Spi Laurent Spi Antoine Keina Paul Wallace akozo asenyo Who did you at the back? Yeah. See you. Tanabu atababu akosia we apanyo. Makaba ebije yetajanuko. Sia klabu. Sia toa. Baidenya. Blate atoko be mamba ya de makona ngwa poti ngo kwewo. Sia o makasi ni yakere. Ingo moe. Anya pana de dada yegebla. Namadu amumba kwa siasa hiyoba. Ya jade ya brayo, jade ya dalwe. Ngaya kayase. Nikumlu ane ya yeta kuhiyo. Habe aboka ane ya yeta hiyo.
Let's hit the share button here this evening. Take you to neighboring La Côte d'Ivoire. I'm Alfonso Z and so to be like Real Public Radio and LPR TV. I want to welcome my man DJ Wale Compound. He's the president of the Proctor Development Association based in San Diego, California. That's a Hollywood. Good evening. Welcome, my dear brother and friend. Aliyu Kamara, marching on. Thank you so much. Here comes a man after you the fun time and so we can have an evening here as well. We intend to have all of our folks here. Max Ward, good evening. Welcome to Gilbert. Hopefully I'm calling it the right way. Just hit a share button and let invite someone to your company right here this evening. And let it blow our can chill in the air. And this is all things considered right here. What are you considering from your end?
With the one you can see.
Let's join together and get it done with the people in Liberia. Our position, in position, outside position, GOL. Can they do it together? Jose, good evening. Welcome. Thank you so much for your commitment to this network. The song says, let's hold it together. Let's hold it together as Liberians, regardless of your positions, impositions, oppositions. The battle line is about the motherland, Liberia. Oh, what a beautiful sound here. Let's hold it together. Good evening, folks. I'm Alfonso Z and so of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. We want to welcome all of our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you so much for sharing your evening with us. Every Wednesday, we are here and this is All Things Considered. Wednesday to Wednesday is when we take on issues that perhaps we don't count here. To welcome Amos George is our senior contributor. He's based in Atlanta, Georgia. That's the firebrand of this network. Good evening. Welcome. What we're going to get a program rolling here very shortly, and hopefully just hit the share button if you will, just to invite someone at your company as well. Oh, it looks like it's going to be like one of these night here. The laborer here, I see him jumping into this race here. I'm not sure what he offered tonight. Nothing is basically guaranteed with him. So we will see how that plays out. He's been on temporary leave for whatever time. Who knows? He's going to sneak in here tonight. And he will try to do everything possibly can, something that he's very, very good at, and try to, first of all, to see himself as the victim of the conversation we're going to be having here. And that's a unique way of he always try to appeal to the audience, like, hey, these guys, they don't like me. They don't want me to be on this network. They don't value my views. They try to sanction my views. And so I'm here for you to counterweight, a counterbalance. And those are the kind of talk he likes to put into the ears of the public so that he will seek that public sentiment. I know him. We've been been together for a while now. I know who he is, what he represents, and what he can do. But don't get me wrong, he's a good guy. But sometimes, oh Lord, he can be a pain in the neck. But let's see what happens. I'm Alfonso Z and Sort of the Liberia Public Radio. Someone going to be here like a visiting guest, but he's a regular caller on this network. Hopefully, he's going to be coming in here as well. And I think this is what we need to be doing to reach out to ordinary Liberians about and talk about their country because you will never get it right from these politicians. Trust me, all they're going to do is to give you things that you want to hear. Well, okay, but I think ultimately the ordinary Liberians are people that we need to now value into our political discourse so that they will be, so we can hear from them directly. I am Afonso Zienso of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. Patrick Sa, this is my God, soccer legend, Sa, formerly of Mighty Borough. Yeah, this guy, he scored some kind of crazy goal one time. SKD there, man. It was something. Victor Morgan, good evening. Quiet Liberian guy. Okay, at least we have some quiet Liberian guy. Good evening, folks. I'm Afonso Zienso of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. We want to welcome all of our viewers and listeners across the globe. You are on the official news outlet of the Liberia Public Radio. If this is the first time, we say you are wholehearted. Okay, good evening, good evening, good evening. I'm Afonso Zienso of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. We want to welcome all of our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your commitment to this network as usual. And this is why we are always here. Without you, trust me, we can't be here. I will never be here to talk by myself, and that's some sort of boring. And besides that, we must value our people, what they do, and the way how they go about to process their conversation as words. They are here. Wednesday is all things considered. From Wednesday to Wednesday is what we discuss on this network. Brother Jacob, thank you so much for joining us here and all of the rest. Just do us a favor, hit the share button and invite someone at your company. Okay, the guy is going to be here. Aaron is here. He's my invincible 11 guy. But let's see here what we're going to be on the same page here this evening. One of the regular callers on this network. And I think that's what we need to be doing, to be given an opportunity to Liberians to have a conversation about their country, because our politicians, trust me, we're always gonna, oh my goodness, who is this evening again? Yeah, oh Lord, Father God. Mr. Jimin Fayambu, hopefully I'm calling your name. Good evening. Thank you for sharing your evening. Let me bring in the town chief, the commissioner. He went to Liberia the other day. He came back. We never saw any election footage, nothing, no picture. He went past to Siri Allen, asking Siri Allen with one of those old school boys' heart, and came and declared himself commissioner. This is the guy who whined and screamed on this platform about election. No, I don't know how he got that position, but he declared himself commissioner. I don't understand. Oh boy. This is something. This guy here. This guy here, he's one of those guys here. Let's do it this way. Okay, let me bring in Aaron. Aaron, just straighten your camera. I'm seeing you backstage, but I just want to, hey, son Jericho's guy, good evening. Welcome, Sarah. Sarah, I know it. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, the Liberal Progressive. Let me bring in Aaron here. Aaron, what happened to your leg?
My background still dark. Okay, let me go in the other room.
Yeah. Okay, I'll be monitoring from the back here. You see the man said I wore my county, the one doing that. Oh my goodness. Trouble can phone never die. Okay, the Liberal Progressive. Good evening and welcome. I like your form, man. You look like a real commissioner.
Good evening, Mr. Soul. Thank you
King
for the night.
commissioner or goods commissioner?
Mr. Soul, you can classify or characterize any way you want. I know my position in the community. I am right now, as we speak, I am going to go back to Town and try to run for the Parliament chief position, and hopefully I will be elected. And then after that, I will go for the district commissioner position, and hopefully I will be elected as well.
Well, how can you become commissioner and you're talking about going for Parliament chief and all of that?
Well, it's a reverse. It's a reverse because the Parliament chief, to be honest with you, Mr. Soul, in all of the government in Liberia, here and there, the most important, as far as I'm concerned, is the Parliament chief position. Because yes, a Parliament chief position.
I know the reason why.
Why?
What should I tell you?
No, just keep it to yourself.
I will talk it. My man gets degree.
Mr. Soul, keep it to yourself.
That for the people good business, you're fighting for Parliament
Mr. Soul, keep it to yourself.
Okay, let's bring in our man, Aaron Popley is a soccer family soccer. I know, player, you know. Yeah. Okay. Good evening, my dear brother and friend. Welcome on Liberia.
If you can just tilt his camera up a little bit so that he's okay. Well, that's fine too. Usually you have to tilt on his side, of it.
Can you
turn it around? Turn it 180 degree. Keep turning it.
The level was okay though. Give it a watch.
There we go. But now turn it towards the ceiling tile. Turn the camera towards the ceiling. There we go.
Right there. That level is okay. Okay. I mean, you're not man. Why you want you want to be friendly with a man here this evening? And I know this guy is not
Mr. Toran, I man.
Look behind me. You see all the red behind me? Why look like coming to white, yellow?
I told you. Okay, Aaron, thank you so much for joining in, and I really appreciate all of your participation. Like every other person on this network, calling in, always speaking your mind, and I think that's what we need to do. We need to encourage people to do that because it's not about my house. It's not about your house, but we are talking about a sovereign nation. All of those who have a shared responsibility, they need to form part of this. Okay, so good evening and welcome. Do not allow this guy to intimidate you because sooner or later he will say, oh, I know him and know him well. Watch and see. He will go for this bait. But for sure, it will be the first time in throwing somebody else who can throw your back. It will be the first time throwing somebody that when he tries to intimidate you here tonight. Okay, Aaron, good evening, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Soul. How you doing, Mr. Toll?
Good evening, sir. Have you heard the new Mighty Barrow music that was just released recently? Mighty Barrow, we are the champion. We all will be the champion. Nobody else can be champion in the Republic of Liberia except Mighty Barrow.
You know what? Wait until Patricia come, then you can tell you about Barrow on. Okay? Don't think you're going to see. He's trying to find by four French here now. What's wrong with you? Okay, focus and man, Prosper Terry. Good evening to Rita Zinan, Sarah, Son Jerry. Thank you. Okay, so introduction is not something that I'm very good at. I wish it were I alone, but we have people following us, and I know somebody kicking the heads of the people here. Oh, this guy I used to school, so I'm going. Oh, this and that. Oh, he here? Yes. So who is Aaron? Let's tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. My name is Aaron Poble, from Liberia, Monrovia, Liberia. I played for the Visible 11 between 1992 up to 2000. I joined the national team right then in 1993, but I didn't make my debut till 1996 in Ivory Coast. Was my first game that I played in Cote d'Ivoire. I came to the United States in 2000 on an athletic scholarship. Went to college. Got a bachelor's degree in criminal justice administration, and I've been living in Atlanta, Georgia since.
Okay, thank you so much for flying the colors of our nations and doing what you're doing. Libra, feel free. Are you feeling uncomfortable in this?
Yes, I am. I got member of the Invisible 11 with me here tonight, and this is not something that I take lightly. I don't take this lightly. We used to have some serious issue in our house, in the household of people who were on the other side. I consider them IE supporters. Me being a Barrow supporter, a strong Barrow supporter. Yes, I do. I am a little bit uncomfortable, but anyhow, this is about that.
You just deal with it as it is. Talk to ask Patricia to come on, then we can talk about that. Okay. Again, like I said, Aaron, thank you for honoring our invitation.
Let me just say something to that, Aaron. I also want to thank you very much because I do believe, as much as you guys were not getting seriously paid in the country, but the fact that you're used to play, because the love of soccer in Liberia, I can say here publicly, and I might put my foot in my mouth, but I'm very good at that. That I can say here because the people like you, Liberia those days were saved because of people like you who get on the field to make people happy, get people from the street, no matter how hungry they are, as long as they know IE and Barrow is getting ready to play, they will do everything possible to be on our field and cheer. So I want to thank you very much for your participation. You helped to build my institution. I want to say this here without any hesitation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Toe. I appreciate that.
Okay. Well, you're no stranger to this network. And like I said, we here, we wholeheartedly appreciate you and many others always in here calling to express their views, their opinions on critical issues, national issues. It is your entitlement. It's about your country. And I believe this program is perfectly suited, all things considered. So I feel free, feel at home. And we want to have a conversation here because you've been, besides being a soccer legend, you've been pushing lines on the political front as well. So we're going to be talking all of this together. But let's start with where you started with. What was it like being a player of the invincible 11th Yellow Boys? That's my team. A car carrying to register. Some saying, I feel bad for you. You can whack your hairs. Take time before that microphone stuck you, and I will just take you off the screen. I say, but talk to us. The soccer of yesterday. If I'm talking about the soccer of yesterday, like you guys, Patricia and Chacha Lawrence, my man Opata, and all of those great guys. If you take a retrospect of yesterday and that of today, what runs through your mind?
Well, just to a point of correction, I didn't play with Opata. When I started playing, Opata was out of the country. I played a little bit with Patrick Sa, probably a couple of years before he came to the States.
Okay.
But you know, back in the days when we played the game, like what Mr. Toll was saying, there was no money in the game at the time. So we were playing the game, as a way out, or especially, for some of us that came from a, lower community like West Point, Nuclear Town, Claratown and things like that. We felt like, that was our only way out, like to get scholarship, to go to high school, to become part of society and all that good stuff. So we play with all our heart, we play with all our heart. And then, whatsoever followed next. And so when we went on the field, we knew we were not going to get paid, millions of dollars and stuff like that. But our name recognition was very, very important. When I put on the jersey and get on the field, I want to make sure that Aaron Pobla is represented tomorrow, where when people see me or see any one of my family members, they will say, oh, okay, yes, Aaron Pobla used to play for IE, and that guy used to play very well. So that was it back then. Nowadays, there's a lot of money in the game. I don't know what are the players we have now. taking the game, that serious, or it's all about the money. But the difference I see now is, they need to put a little more dedication into the game. Meaning, if something is at stake, they need to fight for it, give it their all. It's good for a team to go on the field and lose a game, but fight losing. Don't go on the field and just lose for losing sake. You understand? I'm not saying the last game they didn't play well. No, they played very well. These last two games, were very, very impressive. They won in South Africa and they won in Morocco, were very impressive. But before then, I mean, I never took my time to watch the national team play.
Why?
Because I mean, it was just too boring to watch. It was too boring to watch.
So, the Liberal, don't hesitate. We're going to talk, we try to settle down before we get to some of the issues. So, what do you think, based on who you are, you play the game, what is responsible for now? If they are getting the money, if you guys, like you say, playing for recognitions, literally like, oh, look, our player there. Oh, my man. And that was just all about it. But if they are getting the money, then why result is not coming forth? Maybe they need a result. I could be wrong, but why then? If they are getting, assuming they are getting all of the support, or is that what you're saying? They are getting more support than what it was then?
Absolutely, they are getting more support than what it was then. But like I said, they need to put a little bit more dedication to the game. When you go out there to represent your club team or the country, the national team, you should relish the opportunity to be on the field. When I was playing, the position, in which I played, which is the midfield, I have a lot of foreign-based players coming to play that position. So all the time, I was privileged to play. When I play, I want to do my best. So, every time, there's a game, when they get a foreign-based player, they will say, okay, even though we get the foreign-based player, but we got to take Aaron, as a local base because he's like a backup. He's like a, suitable backup and stuff like that. So what I'm saying here is, the players nowadays, when it come to Liberia to play, or just before the last two games, I really didn't see that will and commitment, that willpower and commitment with them. Like, we're coming to play for the national team. It's your country that you're playing for. I always listen to my former coach, Jericho Namwe. Friend Jericho Namwe always used to tell me, look, Aaron, once you wear the jersey of IE, you compare yourself to PSG. PSG is a Division 1 team. IE is a Division 1 team. The only difference is they're in a developed country, and we're undeveloped country. So you gotta hit that same standards. That's what Jericho always told me. You gotta hit that same standards.
Basically, you were trying to raise the bar and the motivation for the players.
Absolutely. To tell you that, don't feel inferior to anybody. It can be, Mozambique, it can be, Morocco, it can be Algeria, it can be Tanzania, whatsoever it can be. Don't feel inferior to anybody. When let me tell you something. When I play against Ivory Coast, okay, the Cote d'Ivoire, you remember the Cote d'Ivoire team that won the African Cup of Nations when they had Abdullah Traore, Aka Kwame and all those guys?
Right, Sekubamba.
That's the team I play against. Okay, when I came in the game, I came in against second half. Okay, it was still 0-0 when I came in the game. That game ended 1-1, and it was all local based player. There was no foreign based player. Okay, we had the likes of John Mayanga. He's in Minnesota now.
Yeah, Picking John.
Yeah, Picking John. I mean, we all played that game. We had same fan ball for for Manu Barrow. Both of them came from Manu Barrow.
Yeah.
We have, Michael Ray is in Spain now. So, but we were willing to play. So we went out there. We didn't mind it. We gave all we could give for the country because we were bearing the national flag. And when we came back, the entire country were proud of us. They're like, wow, we are so surprised that you guys went to Ivory Coast, the local base, and drew in Cote d'Ivoire 1-1. So these are the things I'm saying. You got to be self-motivated as a soccer player or whatsoever profession you are in. You got to be self-motivated. Then before whatsoever come to motivate you will come. But if you're not self-motivated, you're just waiting for the money to come. You're just going to be doing it for the money's sake, or you're going to be doing it for whatsoever benefit sake.
So let me ask you, it might sound ridiculous, and you are at liberty to plead the fifth if you don't want to answer any question yet. We are just having a conversation. Talking about local and foreign base, and I know because hanging out with most of these guys, it used to be a kind of bone of contention. So they say used to panic you guys that are more or less was locally based, and then game coming, the bringing foreign player. How it used to be like a skeletal scaffold. They're breaking these guys, and they are advanced. They're playing, professional soccer. Oh, my wing, my position is at stake. I'm not sure I'm going to be playing the wing. Is that something you used to kick in the head?
Well, yeah. I mean, it had a little psychological effect on the home base players and stuff like that. But
can you?
We always challenge them.
Camera so the viewer will see you. The camera just okay if you can. Okay, all right.
Perfect. Yeah. It had a little psychological effect on us. It wasn't that much. I can say that to you guys. But we always wanted to challenge. Like I say, my group that I grew up with, that I play with, we always wanted to challenge. And some of the people that I just named to you. I mean, those are people, who play real good soccer in Liberia. So when it came down, it was like a match. When we having a training section, the local base and the professional players, I mean, the entire stadium, SKD be full. When it's on ATS be really, really full, like real game. I mean, and we battle with them to the end. So there was no telling, to say, oh, okay, we cannot take the local base team for them to do this. If the professionals got engagement with their clubs and stuff like that, they can't come, we can take the local base team. I mean, they will do it. I mean, so as much as, it had that little psychological effect on us, some of us will stay part of the team. Some of us used to travel with the team, as reserve players and stuff like that. And when the chance came for us to play, every time, I mean, I think I've had probably close to 20 caps for the national team, or more than that. The last game I played for Liberia was in Mexico, Liberia and Mexico. It was in 2001. I was still in college then, and I scored the third goal. So we and Georgia I played too as well, So we always relish the opportunity to play. We were always ready to play,
Let me bring the Kenton coach here from Total. We are more or less in your area here. What's running through your head hearing some of these old good days of soccer in Liberia?
Well, Mr. So, it just as he was talking and naming some of the players, just put me in a different position because most of the young people he was named, I have no clue on their soccer career because I've never watched them play. But even when I can still say publicly that if I were to stay in Liberia 1980, I think before 81, 82, I would have gone somewhere else with my own soccer business because I was very serious about it. Even though I was going to school, but I'm very serious. But anyhow, the statement he made here is something like I will try to associate other players with that. In that, even though I was not among the players, but I hang out with most of them at the time because I was, like I say, if I were to stay, if I have not left 1980, I most likely would have gone somewhere because I was seriously in the
What that boy used to play?
but it's
Hey, man, we're gonna
I
small
beg you, I
conversation.
beg you. But anyway, the point that I'm trying to make here is if you talk to my good friend Mama Musa, we found when I interviewed him here one time, he stated this, and this is the same thing the young man just stated here, and that is most of the players were not in it for the money. When I came in the Sacramento area, Attorney Gray, who then used to stay in the area here, and I became friends, of course.
As a matter of fact, I'm not cutting you, Mr. Toll. He recruited me. He personally went West Point to my house to get me for Anthony Gray. So I'll stay call him coach up to today.
Yeah. And so one of the questions that I asked him was, how is it that as young as you were at the time, and you became very good and permanent? He said, Samson, one of the things that I used to do was to practice. He said he used to carry big log on his shoulder, and at the Attorney Tottenham Stadium, at the stadium itself, and climb those steps so many times, repetitionally. He said that make my legs very, very strong, and as a result, I was not afraid. And so I used to hold on to the ball, but I have a driving ability as well. So when I hold on to the ball, you rush me, I will disgrace you. So many of them know about me, so they don't rush me, and that's how I'll stay on the ball and try to view the whole field and see which way the ball is going. And I also talked to Mama Musa about this guy that I remember very well. I feel forgetting his last name now, but he used to call himself Kick and Rest. The guy would kick. I know probably Aaron, you probably were very, very young at the time, but he would kick and spread his legs way up, and they allowed all kinds of things those days. But Mama Musa told me that he was so fishy that he did that to frighten people, but he has no speed. He gets dribbled very easily, and so once you pass that kick and rest nonsense, he's out of the game. So the point again, and most of the IE boys, this is where I split up with IE people now. Most of the IE boys at the time were very good friends with the owner of Roxas Cinema. So they used to go up when we all dress up and go upstairs. They used to get shoes, sneakers, good sneakers. While we were still struggling wearing Scobie
get wear a yellow t-shirt and say
they used to get good sneakers, and then we'll go up there. But then they'll sit in a bar and what have you, have the conversation and things like that. But I think many of the players at the time, when they get on that field, people like Kofi Bruce, when they get on that field, Mama Musa, when they get on that field, they take it serious. And they either if they're representing the club or the country, nothing comes between them. They are so serious that if you were to watch them very closely, you would know that they're taking this thing very, and it's just like that. But I'm not too sure what is happening now. Now, the young people that are playing, when you watch them play, they don't even try to control ball and try to be brave to keep the ball a little bit until somebody is open. The last time I saw some game somewhere, they were just boom, boom. When I was coaching, you can't do that with me.
Oh my God!
Hold on to the ball. If I tell the players, what is the worst possible thing that will happen to you? You die. That's it. Hold on to the ball. Let the person kick you. I don't care. You protect the ball until the person you that are going to be free call you, and the person is in a position. You pass the ball, but you don't just keep boom, boom. Where is the ball going? Nowhere. So all kinds of stuff. But I really admire. I hope that the young people nowadays will try to take this thing to the next level.
So we will transition with the conversation here very shortly, but let's take a retrospect on some of our, those are things that you enjoyed those days. So we must also put in time yet, and because sport unifies people in a lot of things. What was your most memorable game, errant on the field? And I want to divide that into two. I want to take you to our own Invincible 11. I don't care if Samson feelings doesn't really matter in the conversation here this evening. And then the national soccer squad. Let's start from home front. What was the most game that captured your imagination? That yes, this game here, for whatever I don't care. I get in my 90s, I will forever remember this game. Is there any specific game on top of your head you can remember?
Yeah. We played by role. I can remember. And before the game that day, when we got to the camp, you know, some of the senior players were striking and stuff like that. At that time, Papi Smoke, the younger brother to Sam Smoke, was still
Yeah.
playing. Yeah, he was our goal scorer at the time, and he like, I'm not playing today because I didn't get this, I didn't get that. And I
Oh,
think two other players were striking. I mean, no disrespect to Mr. Small. He's my big brother. I got too much respect for him. I just say his name just to be specific. So we went to the game, and when the game started, Barrow came from behind with quick two goals. At the
Baruch,
time, Barrow,
that team
yeah,
used. Oh my God,
yeah,
yeah.
they were leading us. They were leading us 2-0, and you know, people were on the field. They were like, "Oh, we ain't got no scorer on the field. Who gonna score for us and stuff like that?" And I mean, as God could have it, I mean, I brought IE back. I scored two goals. I scored two goals on Momo Blambo. He the one of mine that day.
Yeah. Oh, Blambo.
Momo
Yeah.
Blambo.
Was
Yeah,
that a
Wall.
specific? Yeah. What? Yeah, the war. What was that a
Yeah, the
specific?
Wall.
Was
Yeah,
that
Momo Blambo.
was the
Say that
game?
again.
Was it a
It wasn't
tournament?
a game. No, it was like a regular. It was regular season in the league. Yeah, in the league. We're playing them on the ATS that day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Boy Stadium.
And,
Wow.
and after the game that day, I mean, I made so much money because that's how we used to make our
Oh
own money.
boy.
Yeah, I made so much money from scoring the goals until I mean, some people gave me US dollar. At that time, we US dollar was not like the way it's big now in
Yeah.
Liberia. Yeah. At that time, people give you US dollar, you change it for 2025, $40. That's the most you used to get from it and stuff like that. So I think I got $5 from somebody, $5 United States from somebody
That was a
in
lot.
the
That was
money.
a lot of money at that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, it was a lot of money at that time. And because I mean my jersey was full with money,
Oh man.
leaving ATS. Yeah, and we used to dress right at PHP. You guys know right at
Yeah,
PHP? Yeah, yeah,
I
we
know.
used to
I
dress.
know. How you dressing area there? I know
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And not to mention,
So
when you even after the game, you still live with that. When you enter the CU player, man, you get a call, getting across
yeah,
for the
yeah.
phone and all of that.
That
Ooh.
whole week I was
I
laying
hate
like in
to spoil
Monrovia.
your kumbaya IE stuff here a little bit. Let's try to get out of IE and go put on the national level because not everybody that are watching are fan of IE without bumblebee jersey that people really don't like to wear and things like that. Yeah, big yeah, man, I can't bring that yellow business here. Let's talk national color. I FEC thing that a good thing. I beg you, man.
You don't?
National color.
Wow. So let's look at the national team.
Yeah, the Lone Star. I will talk about two games. The first one will be
Before you do that, let me just say something here very quickly. I and Barrow, Batman, St. Joseph, those things when I was growing up, they really used to keep our spirit. To be honest, the like of Mina Freeman, the like of especially kids from Electron that will come in, but usually when they come from Electron, they go into IE anyway. So, but the point here is when you play when Barrow is against IE, is the time in Monrovia. It doesn't matter how many people going hungry, no food, nobody going in the street, everybody on the field, and I think it helps a lot. So I was just poking fun of IE. I mean, it's a good team. It's a very
yeah,
very
and
good team.
it's not like that anymore. I mean, it's sad to see the two nation pride just going down the drain like that. It's so sad. The other day we had to raise fund from here. Through my friend Timothy Bengu. In
Where's
uh, uh
Timothy?
he's in I think Philadelphia or New Jersey. He's somewhere uh, uh,
Oh
over
boy.
there. Yeah, to send it back home. But that's a sad story. Yeah. So uh we went to Namibia. Was it 97? I think 97 or 98, if I'm not mistaken. This was a qualifying game, and we because the travel was so far away, so we decided the government decided to send a whole local based team. So in case the professional then foreign based player don't make it, we'll have a team on the ground. So, and these are some of the things that we used to go through when we travel back there. Just to go to Africa, we would get a flight that would take us sometime to Europe. Yeah, we are taking a flight from Ghana to England, Heathrow Airport, then before coming back to Tunisia. I mean, the team not supposed to be traveling like that. The team, when a team going somewhere, they should go in a flight where they go straight to where they're going, the destination, so they can have enough time to adjust. But when we were going to Namibia, we took 2 days traveling to Namibia. 2 days. Yeah.
Well, your situation was a little bit better though when people like Mohamed Musa, then when they used to play, they had a game. According to him, they had a game, where the big shots of the national team they took clean, and the rest of the player took bus too.
Okay, so we are about to transition in the conversation.
Okay.
We are stabilized, and you know exactly what I'm going because you call here and speak your mind, which is good. Now the equipment president we are, and master dribbler. So what about you guys? You play with him with Invincible 11 too, right?
No.
Oh, you didn't play
Liberia. Yeah, Liberia.
Okay, so but you know him well.
Yeah, and he knows me well, very well.
So
that to the point where when he see me, he will say my name, Aaron Problem.
Aaron Problem.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk politics, and you are at liberty to plead the fifth, issue in case, and you all things considered, you can also bring in your talking point. Okay. When the president decided to contest for the higher office of the land, knowing who he is, knowing him, play together, and all of that, what was your first instinct?
Well, I didn't know President Weah was transitioning into politics at the time. Like I said, the last time we spoke was the last game we played against Tanzania. I think it was around September in 1999. And I told him I had gotten my scholarship to come to the States. I told him that. So I told him I would be leaving next spring to go to college and stuff like that. He said, "Oh, congratulations," and stuff like that. So, when I heard the news that he was running, it was a shocking news to a lot of us who play soccer with him and stuff like that.
Why?
So, but like I said, God didn't put us on earth to just do one thing. There's a lot of people transition from one profession to another profession. You understand what I'm saying? So, it's a man's desire to do whatsoever he wants to do. Once he's capable, he knows he's capable of doing it.
So, what was that shock about? You guys didn't, or let me say, let me not put other people here because I'm talking. You didn't see that coming. It wasn't.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. All the time I travel with him. All the time he came down to Liberia and we were on camp. We practiced together. He never mentioned that. He never mentioned that. Not to me, not in a group when he's talking to us. So I'm just saying, it might have been a calling from God to say, okay, he had a dream and say, this is your next path in life and stuff like that. Because mind you, Dan, this was a man who came from nowhere and conquered the entire world in soccer in Europe. The first black man to do that. In 1995, this man won every prestigious award that a soccer player can win in the whole Europe. Everything. everything from the best player down to the European, everything. He won everything. I think it was like 5 or 6 different accolades he won that particular year. So, I mean, there are times in life where you say, okay, I'm tired of doing what I'm doing now. Let me think about another profession. Let me pray to God about it. Let me ask God. That's not what he told me, but I'm just saying maybe that's what happened.
Something
But
that's
this is
something
not
else.
something that we saw coming. It wasn't something anybody saw coming.
Achimo, I mean Achimo Frederick. I say I served the Liberian national. I served Liberia by playing on the national team. I don't know which name because I try to Achimo.
Achimo
Yeah.
Frederick. I'm trying. Frederick.
I don't know what kind of name because it had different name. Okay, well, if that was the case, and Frederick, thank you for serving the country. So then, the president, now president, former soccer legend, took the decision. He was shocked. And what next?
I mean, uh, when he was senator, I can't remember the year. He came to the United States. He came to speak to the Black Congressional Caucus, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he
And
traveled. Yeah.
yeah, he traveled to the United States. At the time, no, he wasn't senator at that time. He was Senate Bureau at the time. This was going into the first election, I think 2005, if
Right.
I'm not mistaken. I was on my way from work. And I saw the call. It was a New York number, 347. So I decided to answer in my car. I'm gonna answer the call. The person, there's a way, there's a slang we got, we used to call, it's a flowers award. That how there was a coach, they call Coach Pumping, who used to be with us. Yeah, I don't know where he got that flowers award from. So, that's the word he used. When he called, he like, hello? I like, hello, who is this? He said, it's a flowers award. So I'm not, I mean, we're a lot of national team players. So, it got to be one of the national team players who said it. So I said, who is this? So when he said it, I responded. Then he said, Mr. Public. That's who is it? He said, oh, that me, Manny. So I said, oh, we used to call him Big Papa. That's the nickname we have for him. So I said, oh, Big Papa, how you doing? He said, good and stuff like that. He said, oh, I'm visiting in the United States and stuff like that. How you doing? And we just, we just chop it up like no normal things and stuff like that. I told him I have, I was out of college. I'm working. This is what I'm doing. X, Y, Z. He said, "Oh yeah, congratulations, thank you. That's good and stuff like that." That was it. There was nothing towards or a political career or anything we talk about. That was it.
So, Big Papa, how did it came about? Why are you guys?
Well, well, the name Big Papa. Even when you see Pick and John, you will call it because you know George did a lot of things for the national team during his days, during my days there. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and be one of the ones who will say George didn't do nothing. No, I've seen firsthand what he's capable of doing and what he did for the national team. So based on that, we the players at the time we just consider him as Godfather at the time. So we just to call him Big Papa. That was just a like or leader over the team or leader over the entire group. That's it.
Mr. So let me. I think it's just ask a question, but let me try to
I'm
ease
not listening
something.
to Minnesota politicians. Let
Yeah,
me
yeah,
come
yeah.
on. It's
No,
all
no, no.
things considered. Maybe that's why you're going this evening.
But let me
So like your process.
let me chime in a little bit, Mr. So. As you know, on the platform, I've been one of those who would say I'm a little bit surprised because I am quite aware as well that President Weah they spent a huge amount of money on the national team to get the national team. I mean, huge sums of money, millions of dollars. Okay, not that I have the paper to show, but I'm quite sure of that. But the point now is that his love for the country is high. It's still high, but especially when he was in the soccer arena, I'm not too sure what happened, but then again, I will go back to what's this name? A great, not great. Josiah Johnson made a statement one time when the 2005 election was about ready to happen, and they wanted to know why can't he sit aside? He's still young, and Josiah Johnson simply told them, he said, and I'm just paraphrasing that. This young man was here. He wanted to be sport director. You're me. Now you want to be president. It's too late now. We can't call him to come be sport director. Y'all go against him. And the point that I'm trying to make here, Mr. So, is that once the president decided this is what he wanted to do, and the fact that he was popular in that country, if it had not been, I've been saying it, I will say again, I'm not a supporter of CDC. I'm not a supporter of this president, but I want to be truthful. The man, since 2005, he's been cheating until 2017. Every election, they cheat him. Don't ask me what proof. I have proof. I got a video. I got a clip from the president when he was complaining. But that's not the point. My concern, my disappointment, but my regret is that the president, having had that kinds of feeling for the country when it comes to soccer, knowing how important soccer is to him, and yet still, when he became president, the national team did not take the higher ground on his watch. I really don't understand that. That they're going to take other countries to condemn the stadium just so that the stadium will be prepared. I mean, repaired. In the national team, yeah, you're charming, but the national team, I thought, because when he was coaching the national team, when they beat Sudan, the national team, when they almost flogged Ghana, the national team, it was just the last game was supposed to be between, if I'm not mistaken, between Ghana and Nigeria. If Ghana have won, Liberia would have been qualified. That's how far he took Liberia at the time. What happened then? Why can't you be involved to find a suitable coach that you will still be able to involve technically, and you can do that? Yeah, go ahead, my brother.
So, great point there, Mr. Toll. Great point. I understand your frustration. Or you have somebody who play the game, ascended into the highest office in the land, and the game just going down. But one thing we should understand, there was a government before this government came in. Okay, there was a government that took money, put money in the budget for that particular stadium, the same way they did the executive mansion, and to no avail. Okay, there was nothing done. People might say, "Oh, okay, why FIFA didn't, ban the team from playing back then? Why FIFA waited until now?" Those things still take process. It's time. FIFA will not just jump on one day and say, "Oh," the same day and say, "Oh, you banned today." No, they do investigations and stuff like that. When they come up with all their findings, then they say, "Okay, now we're going to ban the stadium." That stadium shouldn't have been used this early with the kind of ban that was on it. But it was the influence of the president. That's the reason why we were able to play on that stadium this last game, South Africa. It would have been longer for us to play. We were even using Morocco as our home because all the neighboring countries around here, from what I heard, were charging us more money to rent their fee and stuff like that. So I get it. I cannot tell you the root causes of what happening. When he came from the last visit, before he went on the field, before we played South Africa, they asked him about the team. He said, "This is our country team. We're supporting the team. That's the reason why the team is struggling." So let me throw a market range. Let's say if President Weah were going to leave everything in the country and prioritize only soccer, what was going to be the narrative today? He's not doing that. The people still got something to say. If he had done that and flooded the entire government with all former soccer players, what would have been the narrative today? So we should understand that you know, he's the head of the government, but he got people in places to do what they need to do. So if they can do it, if the paperwork reach to him, then he takes action and things like that. I think that's my answer I can give you to that. But I think he's trying his best. Okay. President Weah was the only president that gave a national team 50 grand just for drawing the game away. We didn't get it when we were playing. The most we got was like 10,000 from Charles Taylor. And I was part of that. I got money on that 10,000. Right after that 10,000, I came to the States. So I don't know how much more people want him to do, but I think he's trying his best. That's all I can say to that.
Okay. And this is all things considered. And so that's why, but we gotta stabilize the conversations. And
I'm not talking about, we're talking about the national team now, Mr. Stowe. So I know you understand that he's trying. Yeah. I'm not that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Right. No, yeah. The reason I'm saying, you know, all of this, when you meet certain people, I'm trying to get somewhere here. So I'm not going to be pushed by the Minnesota politician. Right. So let's, when he decided to pick up this whole political baton, was there like a consultation with some of you or people that were close to him? Do you remember having like a conversation? And I'm asking this question to say, you guys hang up together, play football and all of that, and want to do something. Say, hey, I got one or two people that, besides that phone call, was there any other phone call when he decided to contest for the higher office?
Well, we had we used to have a tournament in Atlanta, Georgia, they call the Moravia Classic, stuff like that. And George, President Weah, James Deba, you know, most of them used to come in Atlanta to play and stuff like that. And, you know, at this time, he had left Europe. So they was going like to the end of his career now. He was in, I think the UAE or somewhere in the Middle East. There where he was playing at this time and things like that. We met, I mean, after the tournament, we met in the nightclub. I mean, we all was there together, we were talking, and he never mentioned nothing. Consultation probably might have been with his family, his wife, you know, and his kid, probably other people who like saw him on a day-to-day basis and stuff like that. But, you know, like I said, you know, I live in the stadium with Anthony Togba. I think you know who Anthony Togba is. I live in the stadium with I live in the stadium with Louis Creighton as well. I don't think George told any one of these guys that this is what he was going to do. I don't think so. But I think he consulted his family. Huh?
Why you think was responsible for that?
I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I cannot go in the man hand to I don't know. But I mean, when we heard the news, we were shocked. We were shocked.
And the reason I'm asking, there was a divided house from in his world, in his industry, to those that were playing soccer. We are having this conversation. We used to go on.
I know about that.
Yeah, we cheer IE. When it comes to the Lone Star, people cheer. When it comes to the IE Barrow, you know, all of that. But people in him that wore the same uniform, got on the same bus, jump on the field, play from their hangout. There might be some sort of connection. There might be other things that we do not know. So it's better we have this sort of conversation here too. Are you a supporter of the ruling party? And if so, how long have you learned your support to them? Or you?
I'm now a CDC.
Oh, okay, that's what
I'm a sympathizer of CDC. I'm a friend of the president. So they call me you can call me a Weah-Shen.
Weah-Shen.
Yeah.
So when we call you Weah-Shen, you will accept that?
Yeah, I will accept that.
Why?
Because I'm now a bona fide member of CDC. I'm not refusing to join CDC. Also, I can join CDC any day. But my support to the government is because of the president. He's my friend. He's somebody who I know. And a lot of the things being said out here about him are not true. And I'm just here to rebuttal some of them. That's all.
Besides Ephraim playing football, is there any other thing specific that capture your attention, your imagination, or glued your solidarity with him? Or is it because of, oh, we just lose control, maybe he's going to come back? The liberal progressive.
Mr. So,
The liberal, we
I,
need to know people thinking process. I don't care what, you can whack your hairs, you can do whatever you want to do. We got to know it.
the fact that he is a sympathizer to the president, that's okay with me. However, it just I'm
Okay,
glad
welcome, Aaron.
I'm glad the
Yeah, I'm
young man,
sorry. I had a call coming in.
Yeah, that's all
I'm
right.
glad the young man has a profession because CDC and this president will be defeated come 2023 election. And so in as much as I love this president, just like this young man is, but I still say the president, the folks that are around the president are unable to produce. And because of that, I want to retire this president, the entire group. However, it's going to be a tough one because the president, if granted, he doesn't have leadership ability that I know, but he's very, very popular with the population. And so to defeat him, you're gonna have to do better than what we're doing right now. Just coming on these platforms pronouncing, "Oh, we're gonna defeat him." Think it's not gonna be that easy. And so, Mr. So, I think my hope is that this president will be defeated silently, but it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one. And I think if we can get some of his soccer colleagues to jump off that bandwagon like this young man is on right now, then I think that will be some of the reasons that will defeat him very, very quickly and easily. But other than that, we got a mountain to climb.
All right, it's 9:05, so it's fair to say it. Aaron settled in properly now, and we're gonna go. And it's part of the strategy. When you bring people on, you gotta make them feel comfortable. Have this sort of conversation, have a conversation where they will feel at home, and then everybody can be on their own. Amos George, good evening, welcome. ANC need to help the guy with some modern day.
I tell you.
You see, Amos the man rather intimidate you.
I tell you.
Fake coyote.
I would never be intimidated by any man on the face of the earth. No man.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, guys, let's get
be sticking for a while.
One more hour to go. Let's get to the point. We now get to the point. It's the program. It's all things considered. Samson, what is in your profile? What are you considering this evening?
Mr. So tomorrow, as you know, tomorrow I will have a show, and I will be asking Mr. George and Mr. Sisi Goyle to join me. Some interesting thing that happened during the meeting of the political leader and the government. It's very, very interesting. The president's speech, very interesting. The president's speech was something that you would think if CDC, just like the code of conduct, if sedition followed the line of the president's speech, they will win the election with no battle whatsoever. However, the president say one thing, sedition and Jefferson Coach and the rest of the people do another thing. In the president's speech, he's touting the election process, that this is where Liberia will once again put themselves on the Liberians will once again put themselves on the map as true democracy. Because we're gonna go through deep into this here come tomorrow, where according to him there will be no violence, that he prayed and asked most of the political leaders to follow his lead because there will be no violence. Yet still there are some sedition, not only challenging the voting registration process, but going in there and bloodying people up. This is going to be interesting. On the other hand, another subject matter that I'm hoping that Mr. George and Cecil will join me tomorrow and discuss is the vice president's own speech. If you put those two speeches together side by side, you will see that the president, on that particular day, the president took the higher ground, and the president became the big man or the big person in the room. Where Ambassador Baka, if you read his speech, it's like someone who is in it for themselves and not much for the people. Ambassador Baka didn't come across this, according to the speech, and I will go deep into it tomorrow. He didn't come across as somebody who was putting Nigeria first. It's good. It's very interesting. If you have those two speeches, and you can find them on Daily Observer, Mr. So they're very interesting, and that's what I'm going to be discussing tomorrow. And I thought that
I ask you for tonight.
Huh?
I ask you for tonight.
Mr. So, this is a liberal. You don't tell me what to do, how to express myself. I'm a liberal. I have a free mind.
That way you're gonna,
Mr. So, yeah, that's not something for you that you iced. What is it? Is it Donald Trump in a New York City courthouse or something that I need to plead guilty or not? Mr. So, this is the liberal you're asking. I'm telling you what's on my mind, and then you're telling me that's not what you want. You want a specific answer from the liberal? That's why you're conservative. When you guys meet people like me, you're in the center right. When you meet people like me, then you say I complain because I'm here as a counterweight. I give you what you ask me, what is on my mind. I tell you what's on my mind. Then you say that's not enough. That kind of conservative is not going to work. That's a form of intimidation, Mr. So. But you guys are very good at that. And you know that liberal is not going to let you bamboozle me into doing what you want me to do. This is not that's not going to happen.
The way you brought out Doxia over there. Amos Joyce.
Yep.
Wednesday to Wednesday, a lot been happening. What is in your photo? What are you considering this evening?
Let me say this. Mr. Pablo, thank you. When it comes to football, you play for my team. I am or are you?
Oh, why Mr. So would do this here? Jesus.
Why?
How can we not have a balanced show tonight? You have three people from the yellow machine, the yellow boys, and you have me alone. This is
sunshine.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah. The greatest player in my life from the national team to IA is Saba Yansia, the Rock of the Brata, the Great Wall of China. Saba Maya. You know something though. You know Saba Maya. Saba Yansia.
I know him real well. Yeah. Okay. I admire him as well.
Yeah.
But he can be the gate, and still Barrow have flocked IE when he was the gate. So it's not that we haven't passed. The man name was the Rock of the Brata, the Great Wall of China, the late Herbert Grisby. That was his name. Yeah, but okay. I'm just telling you.
But anyway,
he has been in the team before, and people like Kofi Bruce have gone past him and scored before.
Look, Kofi Bruce.
Can we?
People like Waka Heron have gone through with him before and scored. So please don't think that we don't.
Okay,
know
we'll talk that one later on. Well, it seems also it's very problematic. The person go and give that speech something to say this and that, but at the same time, yes, Simeon Taylor then were in Kidman beating people, demanding to turn over the number of people who have registered in that district. That undermines the very thing the President Jagad was speaking about. Simeon Taylor, the video there, blooded the person, demanding the election worker to give them the number of people that have registered. For what? See me tell the video all there. Live. And then that's the CDC group. Then the person goes, say, oh, there will be a peaceful election. I can guarantee no. We see it already. From his camp, not from the opposition camp, from his camp. So the second thing is, they said if anybody wants to run for office, minister or director, they should resign 1 year to the election. I think last week or last month the president issued a letter. We all might think 6 months, 7 months of election. That ain't said. It's a contradiction of the law. Josephine David, they say she just resigned. With about 7 months of election, he just resigned. They say 1 year. So those are some of the things I'm looking at. Then the last one, you see 2 guys who went to South Korea were found guilty and will be sentenced for 9 years from the maritime.
Okay. All right, let me go to Aaron. Aaron, like I said, we are shifting the conversation now. Light is at stake. You've been participating directly here, making phone calls and making your point. And as a Liberian, nobody really needs to be part of a political party before they can speak about their country. So, but we have transitioned already. A lot is unfolding in the country, and you watching, you're monitoring as well. What is of a concern? Perhaps we in the media industry, we are not talking about AIDS, things going on, but overall, what would you like to talk about? Or what do you want to, anything?
Thank you, Mr. Soul. I condemn any form of violence. Okay, we don't want no more war in our country. I tell people all the time, some of us that experienced the war, we know what war is. So we don't want no more commotion in our country. But my problem with the media institution, we got to balance everything. I mean, yes, Mr. George is talking about CDC, people, Samuel Taylor in Cape Mine and stuff like that. I'm not going to speak on that because I didn't see the video. I mean, maybe when you have the video, you can play the video. But the oppositions are doing the same thing too. Yeka Koluba going from places, from voting pool to voting, registration places, carrying crowd behind him, claiming that people registering underage people, and you can't even see underage people in the video. But he claiming that the NEC employees are all, sedition. They chatting with the CDC chairperson. Oh, do this, do that. All that stuff. So if we're going to speak of violence on one side, let's speak of violence on the other side. Because all the things that Yeke them doing, and even Heron Costa did a few times, because if you're going to go register, you don't need that amount of people behind you. Suppose a citizen come out and say, oh, you're taking these people to my area to register. All the things got a propensity to bring a problem in the country. So if we speak of one thing, let's speak of all the other ones. Everyone needs to stop. Everyone needs to stop. That's what the president was saying.
They just give everybody giving the headline. We'll come to that.
That's what the president's speech was. Everyone needs to stop. And the speech is not only going for the opposition, it's going for seditions as well. If they in that kind of act, they need to stop. Because we don't want no more trouble in our country. The president is a very peaceful man. From the time I knew him up to now, I know he stayed peaceful. So if they into that kind of stuff, they need to stop. Likewise, the opposition too, they're doing the same thing. They need to tell Heron Costa then Yeke Koluba to start going around crying all this war. All these lies that they're lying about people taking young people to go vote and stuff like that. Let them bring the paper. Let them bring document to prove that a 12 years or 15 years old voting.
We'll come to that in detail. Those are just news headlines for you guys to go. Sister, good evening. Welcome.
Hey, how you doing? I had to run to get on. Simply, how you doing?
How you doing?
I was listening to a bunch of Christmas Carol, and I wanted to come on, but I would get my chance. So, how you doing?
The note that why you left the man knocking door. The other campaign chairman. Okay, things considered. Now you're here. What is on your belt?
So what's under my belt is as a statistician and mathematicians, I deal with data. I look at past information, past occurrences to create a pattern and make analysis, and then make a conjecture of what's going to happen in the future. Dr. George Miner, we are speaking about being peaceful in elections. I think there is a divergence of words and deeds. The CDC government, ever since they took power, have not conducted one election that did not have violence in it. One, not a special election, not the midterm election, not one election that has not had election violence in it. Point to one. It hasn't happened. So for the president to say that, we don't want violence when we know that your deeds and your action are divergent, it's a problem. This is the same president after celebrating that he signed an Abdullah free speech stuff where he decriminalized free speech. We stand up and say anybody calls me, they will not walk in the streets of Monrovia. Yet that is supposed to be peaceful. This is the same president that sat down and clapped for a certain lawmaker, Solomon George, that said they should make him police director, and he threatened violence against opposition politicians. And the president smiled and clapped. Still has not gone against that to even ask that man to retract that. This is the same man that still promote a Jefferson Koji that said we'll meet people in blood and tears in the streets of Monrovia. So you spare me that thing. I know George Weah has not ever himself been violent, but sometimes your surrounding, the people you surround yourself with, sometimes we start looking at birds of the same feathers flocking together. So for me, spare me the words. President Weah can speak all he wants to speak right now about peaceful election. There is yet stuff to be seen. So yes, I do believe personally George Weah is a peaceful man. Yes, as a matter of fact, the question about who was my all-time soccer player from Lone Star to IE is George Miner Weah, number 14. Nobody can ever take that from him because he brought smiles to my face as a fan of IE and as a fan of Lone Star. But let's be fair, man. You cannot have multiple elections with violence and then still say, "Oh, we're stay peaceful." We have to stop tying this thing around the neck of other seditions. At some point in time, the buck stops at the desk of the president.
Okay, the temperature of the water is getting more something else. Aaron, I'm going to bring you in here. This network here is unique in such a way that we don't sanction voices, and I'm not sure you're speaking for the party, but you're speaking as Osese says something here. I will want you to respond, but before you respond to that, I will play a tape here and let's see maybe your own understanding or if it commensurate with what Sese is saying and what the president said back then. Let's listen to this.
I want you not to be afraid. Our government is prepared to make sure that you go about your normal activities and you will be protected. And I want to say again here, since I have the opportunity to speak with you, those that constantly threatening the states, constantly inciting people, I want to be clear. We will now tolerate those kind of citizens. Those that constantly insulting the president, I want to be clear. And after this, there will be no citizen in this country, and I can defy you, that will ever insult the president and think he will walk in the street peacefully.
This is LPR. Another Francis Zin. So, polling politicians of their own word. Okay, Sissy just says something here. Any president I spoke some part of what, last year or whatever the time it is here. Aaron, is there misinterpretation to the president in your own view, the speech of the president, and considering what all happening? I'm kind of like, why would people even go for a meeting? Politicians, I see that for me, who doesn't believe in wasteful spending. It's a incumbent upon each and every citizens, politicians, ordinary Liberians. Violence is something that should be denounced. So why are they even going to be talking about violence? That's not why. Those should be a sort of word of encouragement by every institutions within their side. They don't need to go. I don't know how much you spend there. But let's come to the point there. The argument of says it probably could derive from that nobody will insult the president will not work. Is this being misinterpreted, or what is your own understanding?
I think it's being misinterpreted by people out there, especially if you call yourself sedition, or you love the president and stuff like that. But if you listen to the video you just played, he made two comments. The first one, he talked about people who try to stir commotion, try to disturb the peace in the country, incite people, and things like that. Then before he went to his second statement, comment about people cursing the presidency.
No, go ahead, Aaron. The call, somebody call. Yeah. But go ahead.
Yeah, and people insulting the president. They will not walk, freely and stuff like that. I don't think he meant it that way. That people taking it to be, because this is somebody who I know very well. So he will not even hurt a fly. That's how much I know him.
Why?
Okay.
Why do you think that word was used?
Mr. So, sometimes, we are all human beings. So let's understand that we are all human beings. I know, as a president, sometimes, you need to put on, the follow the code and be the father of the nation and stuff like that. But like I said, I don't think the interpretation, the way, we interpreting it, I don't think that's what he meant. I don't think that's what he meant.
It seems to me like you wouldn't allow yourself to use or to deploy such a word. Anybody who's insult me will not work, because will not work there. The connotation that I can interpret in my own way. Wait a minute. So if I say this is what's going to happen to me, will you say that?
Well, like I said, he said it based on certain things, and the interpretation, the way we interpreting it, I don't think that's what he meant. But this is what I'm going to say, Mr. Soul. This was the president who signed the free speech bill. This was the only president who did that. All these people, worked in government before this man. The Tier 1 Gonglo, they didn't work in government, but the Unity Party people, all they work in government.
So quickly,
did they advocate for this free speech bill before? This was the president who signed the free speech bill. So after signing that bill and he made that comment, you should know that, it's not the way we interpreted it. That's not what he meant. That's not what he meant.
The question I ask you before I go to the caller here, whether you will use that, will you say that if you were in that position, will you say that?
Well, it all depends on how people interpret what I say.
Was he provoked, you think, and put out a presidential government and maybe get in his ordinary human person? Was he provoked that, hey, I got to show some strength or push back here? But hold on one second while you think about that. That's what we do here. Let me go to this caller. Caller, good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Good evening, Mr. So. This is Elvis calling from Minnesota.
Elvis, welcome.
Thank you. Quickly, the reason I even called is because of the exact thing. And I thought the senior player was going to answer the question well. But let me help him small. I speak fluent Guyanese, So when the president talk, I understand exactly what he's saying. So let me interpret what he said, what he's trying to say there. The president is the father of the nation. If I'm a child and it's my father, if he calls my pa, what do you think I would do? I will call you back. So if the president is saying that these people will not walk freely, if you think you can harass the president, you'll be left to your own devices to roam around the street of Monrovia in peace. No way. People who are sympathetic. Hold on one second. And you walk freely in your mind with sleep at night. If she's living, we will insult her back. Camaraderie law, eye for an eye. This CDC is not a party of marshmallows, soft people. No, we're a party of men, people who stand up for what they believe in. So the president is not a pushover, and we who support him, we're not going to be pushovers. So if people like Yega Koluba can show invectives and show insults, they will receive in kind. So for me, I think what the president was telling you there, he's not going to be the one to cost your mind. He's not going to be the one to cost your pie. But those institutions who support him will react in kind. So that's what the president meant. He's not calling for violence. He didn't say the state police will come and harass you, or people come to your house, to your house at night to kidnap you and kill you on the beach or anything like that. But he's saying you're not walk freely. Walk freely don't mean that anybody will kill you or will attack you, but verbally we will attack you back. So I think that's what the president meant. I want to make that clear.
Mr. So.
We shouldn't be around the bush. Let's go straight to the point.
Okay.
Mr. So.
Yeah, 1 second. I can deliberate. The next person, go ahead quickly, so I'll go back to the panelists.
How you doing, Mr. So?
Good evening.
My big player, problem. Yes,
How you doing, sir?
I'm fine. Long time though. Hey, like probably the blame Zara Wilson when they denied Joshua being FA president. If they had given FA president to Joshua when the time he needed it, maybe I'm not going to have any of this type of issue. When Joshua was about to retire, that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to go to the FA to help soccer, but people brought politics and the man will not your professional president, he was part of because he had his do running it, so that was his club thing. And they brought politics into that one and say he was not able to successful to contest in that election. And he said, so in the fact that when we talk about Joria being violent, is this service. The way they can insult Joria, if Joria was a type of violent person or dictator, how many people will be in jail? Or how many people will be beaten badly? Just though, and coach trying to do message Joe said, Lady Allison to allow Eddie campus there. And that's a history. Eddie, when Henry Castro tried to set up with him, how many times he went to jail? And folks made a comparison that Joria is violent or Joria do. If Joria wanted to be violent, Joria didn't have to say it. He can decode it and you'll see what will happen to people. The Yeke or all of them because he don't get that nature, he don't have a violence in his blood. Suppose you should stop associating with violence or thinking he's a violent person because you ever saw when CDC was cheated twice. People wanted to say, he just say, no move, we'll move. But he comes, everybody say, if you want to do violence, you don't want to be part of that.
All right.
Twice when he was cheated. Yeah, so I beg you. But you know what, that's a show and you'll get a lot of topics to discuss. It's fine. Thank you for taking my call.
Okay. Thank you so much. All right.
Say, I don't want to get the cow here. Can I be the one to really cut the cow that Aaron Public then walking around trying to cut?
Hold on. Let's try. Let's do it piece by piece, please. Don't just cut it. When you cut it, then
cut it and divide it and get in the hair and throw the other.
I would take one of the legs.
Let's do it piece by piece. Mr. So, let me just say this here. I think the speech that was delivered by the president during the signing ceremony, this is where Mr. Joshua said, rubber meet the road. Just listening to the caller, the first caller, not the second one, but the second one is also in line. But let me read something to here very quickly from the president's speech. He said, let me pinpoint the need for all of us, political leaders and our political parties, supporters, and the electorate in general, to also uphold the pledge to prevent violence against women in election and treat our women with civility and with respect. Even though he said women here, but if they support us,
that's number 12 right in there.
we
Guys,
all
can
know
we
that
go
one.
one at a time, please?
But if the president would say these kinds of stuff, and you have the supporters are refusing, publicly refusing to accept what the president is saying, then who's running the party? That's the question, Mr. So go ahead, Sissy.
Sister, you want to what you said, and then I'll bring in George, and then Aaron will come in.
So I like that senior player walk around this thing and try to make it look like we're reading the Bible verse, where every pastor got a different interpretation of the Bible verse. But this was not the Bible. And my brother, Abes, you try, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
But even if I follow the idea that the president was not saying he said we'll go do it, but he's saying seditionists are men, quote unquote, and they will do stuff. Then he's still telling us that the president was dog whistling for violence. That is still inciting violence. Look, I have never seen George Weah personally be violent. Nobody ever personally saw Adolf Hitler in the internment camp doing the things that he and his group were accused of doing. George Manuel Weah, as far as I know, has not committed any violence on his own. But if you make such speeches and you sit back and the lawmaker at a program you are at is saying that you should make him chief of police for one day, and he will curtail the rights and the safety of opposition politicians, and you say nothing, then how are you still telling us that you are peaceful? So this thing about Yeka Koroba cussing and George Weah and the man only human being, you grow a pair when you become leader of the nation. You all forgot when CDC support Kua Water in painting and drag it around in front of Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf? You all forgot that? You think that was less offensive than somebody insulting the president? And to say that the president signed a law and therefore it means he's peaceful. And Aaron, let me say something out here. Maybe you know it, you don't want to say it. When you're talking about people advocating for justice in Liberia, Tewon Gonglo should be your number one man. Because even your Moroba Moluwe are in jail during any time that Tewon freeing. Tewon has been freeing people because they're free rights journalists. So he has been advocating for laws like this. He was not president, so he couldn't sign the law. So you can't put that one to your feet. Okay? But what that tells us is that if the president is signing a law that decriminalizes free speech, and then stand and say if somebody uses their free speech, they will not walk the streets of Monrovia, then that tells us two things. Either A, he didn't know what law he was signing and the effect of that law, which I don't want to believe, or B, he knew it, and there was some other pressure behind him that made him to sign that law, and he didn't sign it willingly. But at the end of the day, my point I was trying to make here is that I am still waiting to see President George Weah show us that the words today that he spoke, those peaceful words, actually there are deeds that match those words. Because like I said, there hasn't been one elections conducted under the CDC government that has not been marred by electoral violence. Nobody can show me one. And so for me, the records are there. The records don't match the words of the president. That's my point I'm making.
Okay, guys, let's keep it succinct. We will be going to the turn. Aaron, Amos George, do you have something to say before Aaron to respond?
Let me just say something here. President, we are condone violence. Amos George is saying that he condone violence at all levels. Aaron, let me tell you something. Did you ever saw, or did anybody ever show child still cutting somebody neck off? Shooting somebody? Nobody. But we knew the people that were under his command, what they were doing. It's what we call good cop and bad cop. Go and do it. If anything other one, they will come to. How many times your president, your friend, had ever condemned any violence in Liberia? When we saw Jagako and Alexander Cummings in Grand Guinea was attacked broad day, did the president ever condemn that issue? They said they sent for Fale. Fale said nobody sent for him in Monrovia. In fact, the president rewarded him, gave him a new brand pickup. He said, good job you did that. Why you didn't kill them?
Hold on, is that what the president said?
Oh yes, he get a man pickup.
No, I'm talking about why?
Yes.
Why you didn't kill him?
This is Edmund George. Why he gave the superintendent a pickup after?
No, Amos, hold on 1 second.
Oh yes.
Giving pickup and calling for claiming death on somebody, that's a different thing.
But
I don't know the reason.
Mr. Hold
on. We got, as we all have this sort of conversation too, it is good. What we say out there, we should also prove it. Yeah. There's a reason why I brought this video here. Sissy says something, and I wanted to get his on the side. But if you are saying, because what his name, Superintendent Kai Fale came to Monrovia based on that stuff that happened, and then it said that's the meaning of the president saying that he should kill.
Perhaps Amos George have a source that he's not ready to divulge.
Listen.
That's not source business here. You don't have something that they're not all that.
Let me go back. Let me go back. The government said that they are sent for Fale to come down based on that violence. Fale came on the essay, nobody sent for him.
Okay.
He came down on his own volition. In that same week, Fale got a new brand pickup from the government.
Equipped with somebody telling people to go kill them?
That's a reward. You reward on bad behavior. Something that almost kill people. The man, they said the Minister of Justice sent for the man. The man said the Minister of Justice never sent for me. I went in town to see about different things. And the Minister of Justice today cannot come out to give any finding of that investigation. What that implies, it means that they support violence.
No, there are two
The second thing I want to say here is all the violence that have been meted against opposition. How many times, I'll repeat, President, we are ever came out to condemn it. When Yeke Koloba was having her children birthday party that December, the assistant minister led a group of people broad day, went and disrupted that party. What did the president say? What did the Minister of Justice say? When Jefferson was in district across the bridge, Canadian Cry election, he said you are going behind there to get his men, to rescue his men. What did the president say? When they attack Uri across the bridge, when they put fire in that place, what did the government do? What did your president, the Minister of Justice, do about that? So if you come here, it is your right to say, hey, the president is peaceful. But with all these things that I'm just mentioning, how can someone convince me that this president is peaceful?
Okay. All right.
Has always been provoked by seditions. We saw it the other day when sedition went and black hero. The police went there. If Yeke Koloba and his men were causing trouble, why the police did not arrest them? Why did they arrest them? Saying they were inciting violence or instigating violence. Why the police did not arrest people from there? So, I mean, I get it. He's your friend, and we'll chop it up. You mentioned Cummings. Cummings had never been president. Cummings never been minister. Your president was then senator. What law did he advocate at the time? Advocated at the time in the Senate. Can you name me one? The bill that he advocated for freedom of speech act. Can you tell me that? Can you name it for me when you're in the Senate? So I'll rest my case.
We are running. Let he respond. And Aaron, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, and just before he comes in, the statement made by Mr. George, a vehicle was given to Kai Fale based on the incident, that the meaning of that interpretation was the president asked him to kill, or the government. That's his own word. It's not
That's
a word.
my own word. Let me make a disclaimer. That's my own word.
It's not what we are saying here. I've not had a chance to talk to Kai Fale whether that was what the president told him. But okay, Aaron, you listen to Sisi, you listen to Samson, you listen to Amos George. What's your reaction?
So, thank you, Mr. So, Sisi, I will begin with you first. Those elections you're talking about, all those elections were held free and fair. The candidates that won, they were all opposition candidates. Every one of them took their seat. You're talking about election violence. Where in Africa, there's no election violence. Supporters will go and do their own things. It doesn't mean that the standard bearer or the leader of the parties tell you to do those things. No. All of this precedent watched. Opposition took seats peacefully. Nobody said anything. Do you think, did you not think for a second that he wanted to keep those seats that the opposition took? So, election violence will happen no matter what. It doesn't mean that the standard bearer or the president is telling, his supporter to do what they're doing. The supporters might be walking by and other people try to provoke them. Commotion start. Let's think about that. We are all human beings. Okay? Let's think about that for a second. Okay? And, so Mr. George, President Weah have his own leadership style. He's not the person who comes out, you're supposed to know now the whole entire 6 years and just, speak and speak and speak. The government got an arm that speak for them. There's a ministry of information that speak for the government. And the Ministry of Information, every violence, the Ministry of Information comes out and condemn it. Okay? So it's the ministry.
That's not
yes.
That's not
yes.
Mr. George.
Okay.
We shouldn't
So let me finish. Let me finish
this point that we can.
So let's go to the Grand Gila incident. Did you see the superintendent attacking Mr. Cummings and Yeke Koluba? Yeke Koluba always claiming sedition, attacking him. Can Yeke Koluba arrest one of those sedition or do a citizen arrest with all his own people he got behind him, so that they can take the sedition to the court and say, oh, sedition, why you're attacking Yeke Koluba? Yeke Koluba stood on the airport and said, the president told the people to take his baby formula. The president don't have nothing to do. He will call the airport and say, oh, you'll take the man baby formula so if a family can travel. Do you really listen to Yeke Koluba when he talks? Yeah, a man who going from election registration poll to election registration poll, disturbing the people with his own followers. Nobody telling his followers that they're inciting violence. So nobody telling them. He going there claiming that sedition, registering people. If even your sedition work for night. Sedition are not Liberians. They are Liberians, they're entitled to jobs. So, guys, let's be real. Let's be real here, okay? You compare Charles Taylor with George Weah? Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Look at how these two people came to power. Will Yeka Konuba do some of the things that he's doing, even though he was sitting representative in those government? Even the government before Charles Taylor, will he do those? Look, like Evan said, let me conclude, Mr. Soul. Like Evan said, look, you have followers just like you have your children, and your children will always support you as parents. And these followers love this president, you know. And if it is true that you guys claiming that it's all seditious who doing this thing, maybe they're reacting because it's their own leader that they love. That's the reaction. That's the reaction they give it. But he's not giving that. I mean, this man got a whole country to run. You think this petty stuff, you tell people go stop the person from getting registered and stuff like that? So, I mean, guys, come on.
All right.
3 elections were held under this man. Opposition people took their seat peacefully. So, what election violence you're talking about? And that's what he was talking about.
Let me just correct something you said. I did not compare Charles Taylor to George Weah, nor George Weah to Charles Taylor. What I said, what all was happening on Charles Taylor, nobody saw him taking a knife or gun shooting somebody, but he took full responsibility of that. I didn't say George Weah was like Charles Taylor or Charles Weah was like George Weah. I did not make that comparison. What I said, that President Weah, if all the violence is taking place in the country, the Minister of Justice, no word from the Minister of Justice, the president cannot speak. And you say a petty. Is it petty to pour gasoline on somebody's house? Is that why you call petty?
Who put gasoline on somebody's house?
The Uruguay house when they were having that election, when she ran for representative looking town.
Oh, Mr. George, please. So you're telling me the president gave order for them to do that?
A lie?
So you're telling me the president gave order for them to do that?
No,
Let me read.
It's supporters and supporters.
Listen,
It's
I didn't say so. I'm just asking you because you said those are petty things. So I'm asking you.
Okay, we're not going to have
the analogy you try to give here, it doesn't hold. The president is not an ordinary man. He is the president of a nation. Every word he said, it carries weight. Maybe if you don't know, it carries weight.
I know that. Exactly. I know that.
No, maybe you don't know. And the next
no, but you got to put his statement in context, though. I mean, it's the way you want to interpret it.
So I think let me read something here just to cool something off here very quickly. And this is from Ambassador Baka's speech during his signing. He says, since the inception of this leadership by President Weah and CDC, we have witnessed several by-elections that have been marred by violence. While on her campaign launch on November 17, 2018, the UP candidate in the by-election, Representative Sir Joseph of District 13, was violently attacked by people believed to have been partisan of CDC. Many were wounded in the violent incident. Similarly, on August 17, 2019, Taylor Uriah campaign in District 15 by-election to replace the late Honorable Ada Lawrence was attacked by opposing side. This time, the attacker targeted Taylor's personal vehicle in an attempt to hurt her and burn the vehicle she was riding in.
Yeah.
So whose speech is that? Whose speech is that?
That's the fact, though. That's the fact.
So everything that happened, you guys put it on seditions?
No, but
yes, so seditions are the only disgruntled people in Liberia now. Yes, is that what we're saying?
Yes, a 10-year IE player. Yes, a 10-year IE player. Let me just tell you this very quickly, IE player. Let me tell you this here. This is what we're saying here, but at least this is what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's not like we're going to go and pinpoint a specific sedition. We have during the election, we have a steward of CDC, Mayor Kochi, decided that he was going to go across the enemy line to retrieve his body that got stuck behind the enemy line. I don't know if there's a war in Liberia, we have enemies still. Number one, we have during the election, we saw on the video where people were attacking Madame Ure, damaged her car, and those people claim to be sedition. And just quite recently, LPR, quite recently, we saw people that are associating themselves with CDC has been so CDC youth wing went and attacked that young man at the American embassy, and you heard the entire world went off of it.
We all condemn that. And they were arrested the next day.
We all condemn that. No, we're not even going to go into that. We're not going to. Let me finish. Let me just lay the point that I'm trying to make in order today. President Weah is the father of the nation. He's my father, even though I'm 10 times older than he, but he's my father. He's my president. When these kinds of things happen, you come out and make a statement to say these are not what we as Republic of Liberian citizens should be doing to each other. You come out and make these kinds of statements. When Solomon George made that statement, there's a video out there that saw the president clapping.
I listened to that. I saw that video.
The president was clapping. Now, the president is a human being.
He was clapping with a smile, though. He was smiling. He was smiling, clapping.
Too. But let me make this point. Final point. On LPR one time, Mr. So was interviewing Henry Costa, and I simply told him, if I have what's his name, what's his name, Salib, the guy who was running the NSA or something like that, he wanted to challenge Costa in the street. I told Costa, I said, I mean, you cost my money, you must throw. I'm not going to wait for you to say you why and what you cost. Then he said, well, your man should not be in any position to be president. You cost my man, I'm coming for you. So, President, we have for people to insult you. I feel for him as well. But as someone who has elevated himself as a leader of a country, you will have people that will behave the way they do. And that's the point.
In the last 4 minutes, we want to make use of it. Aaron, you were like, I don't know whether it was a conciliatory tone. You saw the video yourself. What I mean?
Which video? The one with Solo?
Yes.
Yeah. People entitled to their own comments and stuff like that. So, I mean, if you saw the president in that video, he was clapping because it was a dedication ceremony. It was some program they were at. So when he made that comment, the president was laughing, clapping, because the president knew he was joking. It was just a joke. The president knew he was just joking. So that was the president was laughing, clapping. It's not something like, I mean, Solomon George really meant what he was saying. I know Solomon George very well. Solomon George was my team manager.
Okay.
He was my team manager. I know him very well.
So let me tap into your own world here and let's dilute this high tension conversation. Why was Solomon George right before the eyes of the president say that? What was he trying to do?
So these are the same thing that Evans just said, Mr. Soul. The president got supporters. He got people, he got followers, people who love him and stuff like that. People who feel hurt for the kind of, the many statements that comments be coming from people about him and stuff like that. So they have their own right to say what they want to say, to do what they want to do. The person cannot tie them down. But because by him not coming out to say we condemn this or we condemn that, I mean, that makes him to be, legally liable as well.
Do you think he should have condemned it?
He sanctioned it.
Do you think he should have condemned
it?
Well, he have his own leadership style, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. He's not a person that will be coming, talking. No, that's not who he is.
So we don't
let me conclude on this, Mr. So. Even on the national thing, this man was technical director at the same time captain, acting coach for the team. He was not speaking all the time. He had people designated to speak, like the Kevin Seaway, the Master Junior, and stuff like that. I was there. So he's not that kind of person who always, because you're leader, you want to talk. No. Everything is done through the proper way. The Ministry of Information comes out and makes statement about these things as they happen. They might have missed one or two. The same way in the United States. Not everything, I mean, the people can catch over here.
No, Mr. Stone.
We are about to go.
Let me save my brother. Let me get him one final
Yeah, before we save now, we're going to be wrapping up. We're going to be into the time, and I just want you. Now we try to identify the issue. We're very concrete in some of the things, and I would say all wanted to say. Part of that is to find resolution to what is going on right now. So the next question now is, we can also put forward our own recommendation. We can't just critique and walk away. Is we all are librarians, we have a responsibility. What should be the key point now? What you as a citizen, regardless of which side you find yourself, the oppositions, the government, the ordinary citizen, the independents, if there's any, what do we want to see in this election? What should we be talking about now?
So before I do that, I say I like to see my senior player suffering. I want to find someone that will give my stuff. When Solomon George made that statement and the president clapped, Solomon George was joking according to you, but Solomon George followed with an OKFM interview where he said the president is keeping him away from him. The president need to bring me in because you know what we've been doing. Solomon George is the man who sat in session and insult Akara's great man, who did that American me vice for here. Yeah. But anyway, we move on. Having said that, the reason why senior player that I pushed this issue about the president is not that I think the president sits down and call Jefferson Koji and say, go get in the street and go say you're going for a person behind enemy line, or that he gets these kids that did the Independence Day thing, if when the embassy say y'all go do that. I really don't think that. I don't. But the point I'm making is that if the president cannot come out as the president, as the head of the nation, to denounce these things that hurt Liberian citizens, and he obfuscates that, he sends that to somebody else, but he can go in studio and call people liar men for lying on him. He can say the people that died on Broad Street were having sexual relationship when an investigation is going on. You can speak about that. But you just can't speak about other things where there is electoral violence. I have a problem with that. So I think the way forward is that when people are behaving in ways that do not fall in line with who George Weah is, some of us have a mindset and it's difficult to erase of who George Weah is. For me, I know George Weah to be a soccer icon. I know George Weah to be a man who mesmerized Liberians with his feet, who placed us on the map, who brought smiles to our faces. We used to go to Weze Video Club to watch George Weah play for PSG and AS Monaco. I still know that man, even though I disagree with his political ideology, but I still respect him. I still respect him. And what we need is that when these things happen, there has to be a law enforcement part of that is carried on to the end. And there has to be a way for the president to come out, even if it's a one-sentence speech on the e-marshal website, to say these are not good things. We condemn the violence that happened here, but we want to hear the president. Because we elected a president. We did not elect a minister of information. At the end of the day, everything goes back to the president's feet because he was the one people elected. So that was the point I was making. It was not to come here and say George Weah by nature, by himself, is violent. Even when people talk about the time he bought that guy on a soccer field, I tell people that you listen to what was happening. People were taunting this guy, calling him a monkey, being racist to him. How often can you go? People spit on this guy. How long can you go before you react as a person? But what I'm trying to say here is the George Weah that I knew, this peaceful guy who created a different narrative, a positive narrative when Liberians were slaughtering one another. I think somewhere, somehow, people have put him in a bubble, in a cocoon, and they're not letting him be who he's supposed to be. And what I'm wanting my president, Dr. George, we have to do is let your deeds match your words. You've spoken peacefully a lot of the time. You signed a law that decriminalized hate speech. You have to make sure now you have actions that match that. That is the point I'm making. Not that George Weah is not a human being, doesn't feel pain when people insult him, but he has to understand that now when you're the big player, when you're the coach player, when you're the technical manager, at the same time the sponsor of the team, there's certain insults you can take and let it go for the good of the team to make sure the team wins. That's the point I'm making.
Okay, guys, something too.
Yes, Mr. So I too want to say something here. The hair button situation at the stadium, I think I did a 2-hour show on that here. The guy didn't just, I mean, this defender from Portugal had been on him for months. And that particular game, George Weah scored goal against him. But what did he do after George Weah did the style and put his hand on the floor to kick the ball in, one of those acrobatic style? The guy intentionally almost severs George Weah's finger in that video. They took George Weah off the field to address his finger, and he came back on without saying anything. And so if it was me, I think I've not forget red line. I would have been not only suspended, I would have been sent back to Liberia. Because as a crewman, you do that kind of thing to me on the field. Even though I'm not crewman, I'm just saying that you
deceive our people.
It does, Mr. So the little brother is on the floor. The thing is, what he did to Weah, if it was me, they may not go. And he's not even going home on a stretcher. So that's not violent. That's not violent. But the point here is what Sister just brought up is he's our president. He's our father of the nation. Many things happen in that place, and they will not let the president come out and speak unless he go to Sunday church Sunday and become a preacher. Then he talk about those things. That's not how it's supposed to be. And so main thing here is when he doesn't speak about these things, some of us will improvise. And some of us make these things up and say these are speculation. And then use sedition or use IE player, your yellow boy business, your IE player. They are going to have difficulty trying to defend these things when the people who's supposed to come and make these things like that. Y'all employ Mr. So, and y'all see how CDC will win the election quick. Y'all employ him, and y'all will be better off. Thank you very much.
Can we take a vote and see which one of the team members we should take off the platform right now? Are you people? I vote for Samson To be taken off the platform right now. Who else voted?
I know Samson To for Lord. I can vote against him.
Is that right?
Let me say something.
You got 4 IE people here, and then you got one who is wearing St. Joseph color here this evening, which is not the right, because St. Joseph and IE they go together, Barman and Barrow go together. But I'm wearing I want to go change my clothes now, but it's too late. If I go change right now and come back,
What for you?
Yeah, of course.
Let me say something.
But anyway, thank you.
You see, when Barack Obama was running against John McCain, when John McCain was in that meeting, when the woman grabbed that mic to speak and said that Barack Obama was a Muslim, John McCain grabbed the mic from her and said, no, he's not a Muslim. He's an American. When Solomon George made that statement, President Woodard should have done right there. No, you cannot say that. But for him to cut, from my end, he sanctioned it. And Solomon George went and doubled down on it the next day. No word came from the executive mansion or the Minister of Information. That's what I'm talking about. Maybe you say he got a leadership, but if you are in a position and people are doing things that you have control over and you are not speaking, for me, Edmund George, I would say you are the one that's sanctioning the action of those people.
Okay.
You can be peaceful, but because those people are doing and you are not seeing anything, I will assume, and any like-minded person will assume that you are the one sanctioning the action of those people. And that is why I will put it at George Weah, President Weah.
All right,
Because
guys.
if anybody misbehave, the president make a pronouncement and say, look, the Minister of Justice will go after anybody, whether opposition or government person who disengage in any act to harm any other Liberians. The Minister of Justice should go after that person to the full weight of the law. Then I will say, oh yes, the president is doing something. But when he's silent and people say that his leadership style, tell God thank you. But I will always, if this thing happens, he doesn't speak, I will put it at his doorstep until action can be taken from him or from his official.
Okay. Thank you so much. We are already out of time, over the time. Aaron.
Yes, sir.
Are there some other things that you think perhaps before you make your closing statement? And then, like I said, I made it crystal clear. You're not defending the government. You're not the spokesperson. I mean, you as an ordinary person, I think we need to have this conversation with people who represent, who buy the political ideology or support people. We all must be held responsible, and we must respect people's view. And that's what this network will maintain. Whether we like it or not, the way they understand it to be, the way they see it to be, and their own interpretation, we will not shove things in the throat of the people. So do you think let's insert some humanity into this conversation. Do you think perhaps the president as a friend, do you think you should have handled it or conduct it differently? Or putting it, say you were the guy, you think you would do it in a different context, you think?
Well, I understand all the points of Mr. Toll, Cece, and Mr. George made. Those are great points. I understand that. He didn't appoint Solo as a police director. The next day, he would not appoint Solo as police director in his second term, which I know he will get. But, sometimes, we got to have a sense of humor here, okay? You got to look at this man's background, where he came from. And I usually say that because that's all we did when we all were together. We joke and stuff like that. Solomon George, I mean, if even he went on to the police station, Solomon George is somebody who talks. We know he talks. That's the person who Solo is. Some of the things Solo's been talking, I mean, he may not have meant them, but he just said them and stuff like that. So, I agree with y'all. The president needs to speak out. I believe he watches these shows every now and then, and he listens to his citizens in the diaspora, what they want him to do and stuff like that. I think in his second term, he will speak out. And I mean, I'm saying personally that he will get a second term. There's nothing can change that, So that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, guys, we want to thank you.
Mr. So, please,
Mr. Prophet.
Sisse, and Mr. George, I would like for you guys to join me tomorrow. But Sisse, I'd like to ask you here publicly to see if you can help me read either the speech from the president tomorrow or Dr. Barkai's speech that we both can do the speech together. If you can join me, I will appreciate that.
You're looking for a speech reader? That's a news speech reader now. Your friend here? Before
before I came on, you were talking about the plight of IE in Liberia. The next time you're doing a fundraiser,
good night, people.
Next time you're doing a fundraiser, please let me know.
I will.
So I will. Because those were our pastime. Those were things that help some off to.
Why would you want to do fundraising for IE?
You must support me. I'm going to be president for IE.
No, I'm supporting you. That's too much plan.
Who's going to be president? You are going to break IE down.
Yeah. And I know we spend a lot of time talking about CDC, but I think it's only right that we end this show saying that everybody is responsible for a peaceful election in Liberia. The opposition need to tune down the rhetoric. My own cousin, my blood cousin, Yeke Koloba, needs to tune down the rhetoric. Aaron Costa and the rest need to tune down the rhetoric. Peace can only be achieved when everybody want peace. One person can want peace and another person not want peace, and you have peace. We can complain about George Weah and the CDC all we want because he is the president, but we all have a part to play. Let's have a peaceful election. At the end of the day, we are all still brothers and sisters in Liberia. Aaron Problem, I can disagree on who should be president. By the end of the day, when I see my brother in the street, I'm going to stop. If he's struggling, I need to help him because that's who Liberians, that's who we are. We can't allow politics and our disagreement on how to move Liberia forward make us enemies. So my last plea to all Liberians coming from me is that you vote for Tier 1 Gonglo or you don't vote for Tier 1 Gonglo. At the end of the day, be peaceful, be respectful, be brotherly, be sisterly in the way you vote for your candidate. Convince people to vote for your candidate, not to vote against another person's candidate. Let's remain all Liberians. At the end of the day, Liberia, that one country we got, my people. We still have to go back to that one country. I will still have to eat from Aaron house. You still have to eat from my house.
All right. Well, man,
I will not eat from your house.
Thank you so much. Anytime, feel free. And any other person who also want to give their take on what is happening in their country, Liberia, feel free to join us here. We don't just...
come back. Don't run away. You must come back. Don't run away. You must come back.
They papi here. I swear to God.
Come back. Are you people? Come back. We'll come back.
Oh, okay.
You sure you inviting IE playoff or you come back to fight?
IE player. How are you?
Wow.
By the way, you inviting your own player, you must come back. You must come back. Come back.
I used to work for Effie to go. I used to work for Effie to go.
So here's an experiment. There should come a day where we don't bring anybody that Mr. George disagree with. Let there be some ANC people. He will not be in peace.
ANC can't accommodate him.
No, say.
Yeah, ANC.
I'm waiting for one ANC man. I'm waiting for one ANC man. He will appear in your show. You will see something.
Who?
I'm calling him. He will appear in your show one day again.
Paper lives on chaos. He got a husband and a plow with to be happy.
You say you were a policeman before?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I see. They're the one all get the police to be where it is today. Jesus. I know you can beat them people before you even charge them.
Say no, my worst enemy on the show now. My worst enemy on the show is Mr. So.
Oh. The man I don't come see this show.
The man that tell me to be the most terrible person on the show here.
I mean, I want to talk about the police. And your brother Samson told you were a policeman before?
Mr. So, one woman, the one time will come out, the one start writing, so, oh, Mr. So, take out the paper, don't make the paper fair tonight again.
They been out traffic police. They want to take the driver and key them for them be walking going away with it.
Okay, guys.
All right, guys.
The player.
Honestly, it rests on all of the leaders.
Take care, man.
Yeah, both opposition government rest on their head. They sit down. There are people do things too, and they don't talk. So it's kind of why they want to form internet to do what? To waste our money?
To waste our money.
Joseph Boyka, Joy Weah, Ellis. They're doing things to tell them to stop. Why they saw that?
I saw Jonathan there. Jonathan was there.
Jonathan
doing that.
Yeah, good. That I want you to come back on the show.
Thank you so much. Okay, guys, that's how we want to leave it this evening. If this is your first time, we say thank you so much. We wholeheartedly welcome you. We discuss on high core issue here, but we make sure everybody's voice is heard. We intend not to leave anyone behind. It's about the country, and so we want to make sure that we discuss this critical issue. When I wanted to hold it, therefore, to do what? Should we tell them that there should be no violence? Are they not aware those old grown-up men and women and wasting state resources? When their supporters are preaching, sounding the tone of warlike people, and they are unable to tell them, do they need to go sign a memorandum of understanding with that guarantee of any non-violent situation? They need to start wasting our money and resources. Let them encourage their people to go register and vote. That's what they can do. Folks, we want to thank you so much for your time. This is the first time we say thank you so much. If not, well, I follow us on LPR and via YouTube and LinkedIn as well. We don't normally discuss things that you want to hear. Some of the things that you are uncomfortable because it doesn't favor your political taste. Those are things that we discuss on this network. And that's the beauty of Liberia Public Radio. We want to thank you so much for your time. And my baby girl to observe her birthday today. And we say a big thank you to those who were able to send her tweets, comments, and she was so excited. Say, hey, please mention it to your people because a lot of comments. Tweet Adonai, 18-year-old. Have a pleasant evening. Bye-bye.
Le Raïs, vous savez. Nick Monkey, do you want money? Oh, yeah.
Ganou, tu as perdu si à Webley.
Là, il est. Après le trou,
Timla, Mosimo, Timla, Mosimo. Na mo pwe mo e ponu. Odidiri apanu a mo apwe o. Na e ponu e. To pa dia bia. E wa gidi e. Esi a e yo ija.